If your Pioneer VSX-LX303 receiver is not working correctly, has become unresponsive, or you simply want to erase the current configuration and start again, you can perform a factory reset directly from the front panel. Before doing that, however, it is important to understand the difference between restarting the receiver and factory resetting it. A restart is the first thing Pioneer recommends when the receiver is behaving erratically. A restart does not erase your settings. A factory reset is more drastic because it restores the receiver's settings to their factory default values. So, if you are troubleshooting a temporary problem, try a restart first. To restart the Pioneer VSX-LX303, put the receiver into standby mode, then press and hold the STNDB1 button on the main unit for at least 5 seconds. After that, allow the receiver to restart. Your existing settings should remain stored, so you should not need to configure your speakers, inputs, or other options again. If the receiver is still behaving incorrectly after the restart, Pioneer also recommends disconnecting and reconnecting the power cords of the receiver and any connected devices. If these basic steps do not solve the problem, you can move on to the full factory reset. Before continuing, remember that this procedure will erase your customized receiver settings and restore them to their original default values. If you have spent time configuring your speaker system, input assignments, HDMI settings, network connection, listening preferences, or other options, it is a good idea to make a note of those settings first. You may need to configure them again after the reset. Now let's perform the factory reset. Make sure you are using the controls on the front of the Pioneer VSX-LX303 itself. This procedure is performed on the receiver, not through the television menu. Locate the Auto SLI Direct button on the front panel. It is one of the listening mode buttons. With the receiver ready for the reset, press and hold the Auto Store Direct button. While continuing to hold the Auto Store Direct button, press the Stand DBY on button on the receiver. Watch the receiver's front display. If the command has been accepted correctly, the word clear will appear on the display. At this point, do not unplug the receiver. This is important. Pioneer specifically warns not to disconnect the power cord while clear is still shown on the display. Allow the reset process to finish. The receiver will return to standby mode and the word clear will disappear. Once that has happened, the factory reset is complete. When you turn the receiver back on, its settings will have been restored to their default values. You can now begin configuring the VSX-LX303 again. Depending on your setup, you may need to go through the initial configuration, select your speaker layout, configure your HDMI equipment, reconnect the receiver to your network, and adjust other settings you previously customized. If you use Pioneer's MCCACC automatic speaker calibration, you may also want to run the speaker calibration process again, so the receiver can correctly adjust levels, distances, and other parameters for your room. If your reason for resetting the receiver was a problem with HDMI, audio, networking, or another feature, test that particular function before changing too many settings. For example, connect your television and one source device, select the correct input, and see whether the original problem has disappeared. This can help you determine whether the issue was caused by a configuration problem. It is also worth remembering that a factory reset cannot repair a physical hardware fault. If the VSX-LX303 continues to shut down, refuses to power on, enters protection or diagnostic mode, or produces the same serious problem immediately after being reset, repeatedly performing factory resets is unlikely to help. In that situation, check your speaker wiring carefully. Make sure no loose strands of speaker wire are touching another terminal or the chassis. A short circuit in the speaker wiring can cause an AV receiver to protect itself. If the wiring looks correct and the receiver continues to malfunction, the problem may require professional diagnosis or service. Also, do not interrupt a firmware update by performing a factory reset or disconnecting power. If the receiver is currently updating its firmware, allow that process to finish according to Pioneer's instructions. So, here is the procedure one more time. Try restarting the receiver first by putting it into standby and holding the STNDBI on button for at least 5 seconds. This keeps your settings. If you actually need a complete factory reset, press and hold Auto Store Direct on the front panel, then press Stand DBY on. Wait until clear appears on the display. Do not disconnect the power cord while clear is displayed. When clear disappears, and the receiver returns to standby, the reset is finished. You can then turn the Pioneer VSX-LX303 back on and configure the receiver again from the beginning.